Hey guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I want to welcome you back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a basic disassembly and cleaning of GI standard 1911 A1 45 ACP pistol. Now hold your fire before you thumbs down. Yes, you're going to have to accept the fact that this is a Springfield Armory product. Did I buy it? No, I do not support Springfield Armory, nor do I support Rock River Arms, but this firearm is on loan to me from Stan, the owner of SS Pawn in Lexington, Nebraska. And as you know, guys, Stan loans me firearms from his private collection to bring to you in videos, and we'd range test them and clean them and tabletop and so on. So think of this video as more of just a tool on, or a simple step instructions to teach you how to disassemble and clean a 1911, because I know the first time I did, it was just a little bit daunting. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about Springfield Armory, guys, I personally don't have any issues if you happen to receive one of these, if somebody gives you a 1911 Springfield, or they happen to give you a Springfield XD or whatever. If you buy one used, that's great. But until Springfield gets its act together, and until Rock River Arms comes out and gets their act together in terms of supporting gun-owning citizens in their states, I don't recommend that you buy from them new. Okay, that's just my opinion on it. Agree with me, disagree with me, whatever you want to say, that's fine. Okay, so before we get started on this 1911, let's talk about some of the basic supplies that you're going to need. Now, in the near future, I'm going to be using some frog lube on my pistols. I'm going to try it out and see what happens. I actually have some time to do that this summer, so I'm going to mess around and see how well frog lube works. In the meantime, I'm always happy using CLP as a lubricant, and rem oil is more of a protectorant for the outside. Anodized finishes and rem oil can sometimes be somewhat unusual the way that it leaves a coat, but I tend to use CLP, and that has less of an issue. You're going to want some general cleaning brushes, some sort of a cleaning rod that you can use, patches or a cut-up t-shirt, cotton preferably, some bore brushes. Now, you can use the straight rod bore brush that you get in a cleaning kit, or maybe you got a bore snake, that's fine. Some Q-tips, obviously the pistol, and then before we do anything else, we always have to have a cup of coffee. Now, normally I highly recommend, Black Rifle Coffee Company, which is what I'm drinking today, but there's a channel that I want to promote. This is the Armory channel, and the name of the guy that runs the channel is Pete. And Pete was one of the first guys to get me really interested into guns, for one thing, and also making YouTube videos. So, Pete, my hat's off to you. This is a mug that I bought from you a couple years ago when you were starting to promote some of your merch for your channel. And again, coffee, it just makes cleaning so much more pleasant. And it definitely keeps you alert and awake, so you know what you're doing when you disassemble your gun. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first thing we want to do is go ahead and ensure that the firearm is unloaded. So go ahead and eject the magazine. Pressing the button right here. Check. Okay. No ammo there, no rounds. Check the chamber. Good to go. Okay, that is your first step. Alright, next thing we want to do is just go ahead and give the magazine just a little wipe off. You don't want to leave your parts greasy. I sometimes like to let my parts soak in CLP overnight, and then I wipe them off with a dry patch. And this gun has been fired before, but it has not been fired a lot, according to Stan. So I just want to make sure it's nice and clean before we head out to the range. And I got some 45 ACP ammo sitting around, so why not? So just a little wipe off. You can, be more thorough with your cleaning your magazines, get into disassembly and stuff like that. I won't be doing that in this video, but that's just enough to get us started. Now the angle on this seems a little bit unusual, but I need to get some leverage by holding the pistol against me as I press down on this plug. This plug is what's going to contain the recoil spring, and there's going to be a bushing that we're going to need to rotate, I believe clockwise, in order to get it loose. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Got to make sure that you don't push back on the slide while you do so. Here we go. And then keep pressure on this plug. You don't want the recoil spring to shoot out at you. Oops, there we go. Okay, let's move on to the next step. Okay, let's go ahead and remove that plunger, and then what we're going to do is just take a CLP patch on the rod and just go inside the plunger and clean it out. You'd be surprised what you're going to find inside that. Okay, it is a little bit dirty. All right, go ahead and wipe that off. Again, we're just going to do this piece by piece. We're going to make it easy. Okay, go ahead and set that off to the side, and we're off to our next step. Okay, so what we want to do now is just go ahead and push back on the slide. You have a notch right here and a notch right here. This first notch is what you're going to use to remove this takedown pin / slide stop. So go ahead and push back on the slide. And make sure that the tab aligns with the takedown lever. Okay, go ahead and pull that lever out. Set the pistol off to the side, and let's go ahead and wipe off the lever with some CLP. Again, I'm just using a little CLP soak patch here. Does the job. There we go. Okay, go ahead and set that off to the side, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, let's go ahead and remove that slide. So just push forward. Slide will come right off. Now, bear with me, guys. I've only done this twice in my lifetime, so there's always the chance that, you know, you could run into some issues. So go ahead and remove your guide rod, okay, as well as your barrel. Oh, sorry about that. We need to take out your front bushing. Okay, now to remove the barrel bushing, I'm just holding on to the barrel right here, and just go ahead and rotate it counterclockwise and pull it out. It's going to come right out. Okay. And now we should be able to remove our barrel. Oh yeah, I forgot. You need to push the barrel through the front of the firearm. So push this little lug down right here, and the barrel should go right through the front. There we go. All right, so at this point we've got a basic field strip of the firearm all finished up. Let's go ahead and start off by wiping off the guide rod. Now again, you know, there can be some variance in the design of these 1911s. You can have some that have, you know, like a full-length guide rod. You know, there's just different styles and different types. So this should apply to any M1911 style, just GI style, 45 ACP pistol for the most part. Okay, we'll go ahead and take that bushing and go ahead and wipe it off. Now I gotta say, being only the second or third time I've ever disassembled a 1911, it's really not that bad once you get through the process the first time. I think you're going to find it to be fairly easy. Okay, bushing comes off. Nice stainless steel. Cleans up really nice. Okay, I'll go ahead and push that off to the side. I like to use a little bit of rem oil on my springs. So just a general spray down. There we go. And then just go ahead and wipe that off with a patch. You don't have to keep that excessively lubed. In fact, you don't want to keep any of the parts excessively lubed. Generally, the parts where you have your metal on metal contact is where you want to do that sort of thing, have that sort of lubrication. Okay, just go ahead and wipe your spring off. Yeah, we're not gonna mess with that. Okay, we'll go ahead and put the spring off to the side. Okay, now at this point, we're gonna shoot a little CLP down the barrel. We're gonna let that marinate for a little bit. I'm seeing quite a bit of powder residue on the back of here, so I can tell this gun has been shot a bit, you know, not a whole heck of a lot, but enough. Okay, we're gonna let that now, while that's sitting, and while that's breaking down all those carbon deposits, we'll go ahead and wipe down the outside of the barrel. This is where you really start to see the dirt and the carbon and the muck and the burned powder and all that fun stuff come off of this firearm. Again, it's always nice to have a couple Q-tips handy too if you need to get into any of the little edges. Get that all taken care of. Again, it is a really nice firearm. I don't know if Springfield imports parts. I was thinking that they imported parts maybe from the Philippines to build this firearm and it's assembled in the USA. I don't know enough about their firearms to really tell you, but the construction, the fit, and the finish all seem to be really well on this particular firearm. Now, I mean, there's so many different 1911s out there and different price points you can get into. You know, everything up from your Kimbers all the way down to your Rock Island Armory GI models, which I owned one for a while, and to be honest with you, one of the reasons why I didn't like it was because of the disassembly. And really, it's not that bad when you get down to it. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and just take a basic bore brush. Now, this is a 40 caliber bore brush, but it does fill the barrel just fine to do some basic scrubbing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and scrub that out. Now, if you have a straight cleaning rod, you can use that too if you want to. You may have to do this a couple times to get your bore clean, especially, you know, these 45 ACP shells have so much powder in them. You tend to get a considerable amount of residue inside of them. All right, let's go ahead and get that. This is just a plastic bore brush, just a basic, I don't even know what the material is, to be honest with you, nylon maybe. Go ahead and check it. Oh, that's nice and clean, nice and shiny. It's good to go. Okay, now let's put a fresh patch without any CLP on it, a couple patches here, on our cleaning rod. We'll run that through the first time and we'll use that to take off some of the powder. And that's going to give us an idea as to how dirty the barrel still is. Oh yeah, it's pretty filthy, isn't it? There we go. Scrub that out a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just put a little bit of rem oil on a few patches here. Just as a protectorant, we don't want it excessively lubricated inside the barrel. That will attract a lot of debris in your barrel, especially if you conceal carry or you keep it, you know, use it as a range gun and you're out in dirty conditions. You'll start to accumulate muck and dirt and lint and stuff in certain areas, especially with this lubrication that makes it sort of sticky. There we go. All right. That bore is nice and clean. Should be able to see the rifling. You should not see any powder residue or chunks in that barrel. If you do not, you're good to go. Let's go ahead and take a Q-tip here real quick and just dab a little bit of CLP on it. Just go ahead and clean out around the area of the lug, because you do get a little bit of buildup there also inside the lug. There we go. Okay, go ahead and set the barrel off to the side. Now for the slide, we'll go ahead and use a CLP soaked patch to get through there and wipe it all off. Just take your time. You don't have to rush when you do this. There we go. It's been a while since I've done a cleaning video, guys. And when Stan told me that I could take this pistol, I was obviously very excited. And I thought to myself, oh man, it's a Springfield product. I'm going to hear from people. But like I said, think of this video just as simple instructions on how to clean a 1911. You know, you might be a first-time owner. Maybe you got that Rock Island 1911 and you don't know how to take it apart. Because honestly, you know, the instructions are not always that clearly written. And wow, that is dirty. I tend to use YouTube videos, or I make my own videos to instruct myself on how to do it. Especially I remember when I had that M1A or the M1 Garand. I was really intimidated by it, especially with these being, you know, vintage firearms. And, you know, I want to do it the right way, obviously. So it's good to educate yourself as much as you can. Maybe watch my video once or twice before you actually do the disassembly, just to guarantee that you're not going to run into any problems and get frustrated. And like I said, I'm a little disappointed in myself for getting rid of that Rock Island Armory 1911. It was perfectly usable. It was, you know, the machining on it wasn't 100% as good as it could have been, but for like $400 or $375, whatever I paid for it, you really can't pass it up. It's a great deal in a 45. Now, for this particular part down here, it's going to be a little bit harder to get into, so we'll spray some rem oil down there. Good. And then just go ahead and take our cleaning rod with some patches and go ahead and scrub out the inside of the barrel in this front area. Especially if you have big fingers, you might have trouble getting into that area. It's not so bad. Okay, put a little CLP on that patch, clean it up, and we should be good. Now you can take a brush to the area where your striker comes out if you want to, if you really want to get that scrubbed down. Now I will be taking this pistol to the range shortly, probably tomorrow, and so I'll be giving the gun another thorough cleaning. But I'll tell you, give your gun a good cleaning. You know, get your oils and lubricants on there, or your frog lube, and then when you bring it back from the range, you're going to be amazed at how much easier it is to clean off. I mean, it's going to be so much faster because all that carbon and all those deposits, they're going to adhere to that cleaner. So when you wipe it all off, it's going to come off with it. You know, apply a fresh coat of cleaner and you're good to go. So, all right, that takes care of that. Let's go ahead and move on to the lower. We'll wipe off the outside of the slide here in just a little bit. Now for the lower, I usually don't use CLP. I tend to just use rem oil because you don't want excessive lubrication. So just go ahead and spray it down with some rem oil. Also get some inside the mag well. Hold on, grab a sip of coffee here. It's so good. All right, and we'll continue. I tend to put just a little bit of rem oil on the patch also, and then we'll go ahead and wipe it out. Okay, now again, the first time you disassemble and clean a gun, remember a lot of these guns, they should be, in my opinion, test fired before they leave the factory. So you might find a lot of factory grease on the guns. I want you guys to check out, there's another channel that I like to watch, and he's a really good guy. I consider him a friend. I do talk to him a lot on the side. Jay Dalton, he's got a channel. And he shows how to do frog lube, and he shows you the proper way to degrease your firearm using rubbing alcohol or mineral spirits. And I do recommend that you check his channel out. He's a really good guy, honest fella. And he is the master of showing you how to frog lube your firearm the right way. A lot of people buy things like frog lube and they don't do it the right way, and then they're disappointed with the performance. Well, there's certain steps you have to follow. So again, I'm not promoting frog lube. I'm just saying that I know that it works, and after being in contact with a lot of people that do a lot of shooting, I've heard enough good things about it that it might be the way to go. And I got to be honest with you, I do spend a small fortune on patches and cleaning supplies and so on. Okay. Let's go ahead and take, again, a little bit of CLP on a Q-tip and go ahead and run down the guide rails here. This is a part where you're going to want to have a decent amount of lubrication. You've got that metal on metal contact, and you want to make sure that you've got the smoothest action possible while you're using this at the range. There we go. Whoop. Working through the tripod here. Okay, go and wipe that off. And go ahead and wipe off around the area of the trigger guard, or down by the trigger here. I saw there's some buildup in this area. Could also be some grease. Now you can do, complete 1911 strip downs and cleanings and so on. And when you feel like you're at that point, being a firearms owner where you can do that, definitely do. Watch some videos and take the gun down and get it completely cleaned out. Maybe if you're going to store the gun for a while, or you've done a lot of shooting and it's time to get it cleaned up. Highly encourage you to do that. You know what? I think we're probably going to be good to go. Again, this gun's going to get another cleaning as soon as I come back from the range. So obviously we want it clean, but we don't have to, don't have to be able to eat off of it just yet. But acceptable enough that we bring it back to where it needs to be. All right, let's go ahead and begin the process of reassembly. All right, so first step of reassembly, it's very simple. Let's go ahead and take our barrel. Make sure you've got your little lug pointed forward, and go ahead and slide the barrel back into the slide. Make sure it's properly seated. Okay, it's all the way back. Okay, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now we want to go ahead and take this bushing, and you have a notch right here, kind of a locking notch. Okay, go ahead and slide that in. And go ahead and push that off to the side completely. We went counterclockwise and let it stop. Alright, so on reassembly, you've got kind of the loose end of the spring and then the tight end of the spring. What you want to do is take your guide rod, and this little groove that you have cut out right here, you're going to want that resting on the bottom of the barrel. So go ahead and push the spring in and make sure it sits on the guide rod. You're going to have to kind of wedge it on there a little bit, make sure it's tight. Okay. Go ahead and advance that forward. There you go, until it seats itself up against the dust cover or the bottom of the slide. Alright guys, so this next part can be just a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to put the slide back on the lower of the firearm. You've got a lot of moving parts here, so don't get frustrated if you don't get this the first time. And I'm kind of working at an odd angle here, so you want to make sure you've got this little ring, okay, facing towards the front. And we're going to very slowly put this back on the firearm. We don't want to I guess you could say thrust the upper, okay? We're gonna go slow. This little ring right here, we want it to line up with this hole so we can see through it. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to put the takedown lever right through here. If everything lines up properly, okay, go slow. There we go. Okay, where's my barrel at? There it is. Okay, now, I've got the little tiny ring that we were just talking about on the barrel. It's not blocking the hole. And you want to go ahead and take your takedown lever and just push that through, okay? And then you're going to want to push it in that notch right there. Okay, so that's going to be the next step. So again, you may have to use just a little bit of force here, okay? So just push straight down. And it's going to snap into place. Okay, so it's not hard to do, and you could push on the back of the lower if you want to and pop it back out and practice it a couple times if you want to. Okay guys, so make sure you've got your slide locked all the way to the back, and you'll probably notice that the hammer is going to be down, and that's fine. Go ahead and put this on a solid surface. You're going to want to be very careful with this because this recoil spring is going to be under pressure. Don't want you to launch this up into your ceiling and break a light. So anyway, we've got that plug. Let's go ahead and push down. And then just rotate the bushing back over. Once you kind of get it locked, you're just about where you need to be. Now at this point, the slide could start to come back. Use your thumb, press down on it, rotate, lock into place. Okay, and you're good to go. Let's go ahead and test that and make sure it's okay. Nice and smooth, very sturdy spring. Okay, I'm not going to dry fire it. We're going to go ahead and put the magazine back into it. Okay, make sure it is empty. And pull the trigger. I forgot you have to hold on to that grip safety. And gently, there you go. Release the hammer and you're good to go. Alright guys, so that is the basics of how to disassemble and clean a 1911 A1 style 45 ACP pistol. Again, I'm not an expert at it. I've only done it. This is 3 times now, I think, that I've actually disassembled and cleaned a 1911. So thank you for bearing with me. But if you're a new 1911 owner, guys, you do not need to be intimidated by taking a pistol like this apart. It's really not that hard to do. And I do look forward to taking this to the range to shoot it just to have a little more fun with the 45 ACP, something I've only fired. I think I put 25, maybe 50 rounds through my Rock Island Armory before I sold it, but this really kind of gets me back in the mood to want to buy another one. Nice full-size model. So there you go, guys. All right, so I want to thank you for joining me today on the channel. I've got a lot more videos coming up for you. And again, please like or subscribe. You can also check me out over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm also over on gunchannels.com with the Ordinary Average Guy Gun Channel and the Caliber Corner, which is a Saturday morning podcast I do over on YouTube at 8 o'clock Central Time. And on the Caliber Corner, we have different topics. It could be anything from picking the best budget pistol to optics, where do you begin? This Saturday, we're going to have a special episode. It could run more than an hour on reloading. So there you go. A little promo for my channel, guys. I got a lot of videos. Please check them out. And to all my subscribers, I want to thank you guys for continuing to watch. And there you go. Okay, so that's the basics. Springfield Armory M1911 A1. Keep wanting to say A2. 45 ACP disassembly and cleaning. Let's get this bad boy out to the range. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Have fun, be safe, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.